The biography of the prophet, Sirah, is essentially a reflection of the divine message that the messenger of Allah presented to humanity, guiding people from darkness into light and from servitude to others into servitude to God. A complete understanding of this sacred life is not possible without comparing the conditions before and after the revelation of this divine message. Therefore, before the main discussion, this chapter outlines the conditions of the Arab nations before Islam, describing the environment in which the Prophet was sent. The literal meaning of the word Arab includes desert and barren land. Since ancient times, the geographical location of Arabia has been defined as including the areas in the west by the Red Sea and the Sinai Peninsula, to the east by the Arabian Gulf and parts of southern Iraq, to the south by the Arabian Sea, which is essentially an extension of the Indian Ocean, and to the north by the Levant, Syria, and parts of northern Iraq. Some of these borders are disputed. The estimated area ranges from 1 to 1.5 million square miles. The Arabian Peninsula holds great significance geographically and physically. Internally, it is surrounded on all sides by desert and arid land, making it a secure fortress that foreign nations have found difficult to conquer or influence. Consequently, the inhabitants of the Central Arabian Peninsula have always maintained their independence and sovereignty over their affairs, despite being neighbors to two great powers. Externally, the Arabian Peninsula is centrally located among all the known continents of the Old World and is connected by both land and sea routes. Its northwest corner serves as the gateway to the African continent. The northeast corner opens into Europe. The east connects with Iran, Central Asia, and the Far East, and extends access to India and China. Similarly, all the major continental sea routes are connected to the Arabian Peninsula, with ships anchoring directly at its western ports. Due to this strategic geographical location, the northern and southern corners of the Arabian Peninsula have served as hubs for diverse nations, becoming centers of commerce, culture, arts, and religious exchanges. Arab nations. Historians have categorized Arab nations into three types. Arabida, the extinct Arabs. These are the ancient Arab tribes that have completely vanished, with little detailed information available about them, such as the tribes of Ad, Thamud, Tazim, Jadis, and Amalek. Arab Ariba, the pure Arabs. These are the Arab tribes descended from Yarub ibn Yashjub ibn Qatan, also known as the Qahtani Arabs. Arab Mustariba, the admixed Arabs. These are the Arab tribes descended from Prophet Ishmael, also known as the Adnanite Arabs. Qahtani Arabs and their origins. The original homeland of the Qahtani Arabs, known as Arab Ariba, was the land of Yemen. It was here that their families and tribes split into various branches, grew, and prospered. Among them, two tribes gained significant fame. Himyar. Notable sub-branches of Himyar include Zaid al-Jamr, Qudiyy, and Sakasi. Kaylan. Famous sub-branches of Kaylan include Hamdan, Anmar, Azd, Taim, Kinda, Lakum, Judham, and Banu Jaffna, who later established their rule in the outskirts of the Levant and became known as the Ghassanids. The Kaylan tribes eventually left Yemen and spread across various regions of the Arabian Peninsula. Their migration occurred slightly before the rise of the Byzantine Empire, which conquered Egypt and Syria, thereby dominating the sea routes that facilitated Yemen's trade. This pressure, coupled with the disruption of key trade routes, devastated the commerce of the colonies. Migration of the Kaylan tribes. Several factors contributed to the migration of the Kaylan tribes, including internal disputes between the Kaylan and Himyar tribes. This rivalry might have further encouraged the colonies to seek new territories, as suggested by historical hints. While the Kaylan tribes left Yemen, the Himyar tribes remained in their homeland. The Kaylan tribes that migrated can be categorized into the following groups. Azd, led by their chief Amr ibn Amr Muzaykiyah. The Azd initially moved within Yemen, scouting different areas and sending advance parties to assess conditions. Eventually, they headed north, with various sub-branches settling permanently in different locations. They initially headed towards Hijaz, settling between Thalabaya and Daikar. As their families grew and gained strength, they migrated to Oman, making it their new homeland. From this lineage came the tribes of Aws and Khazraj, descendants of Haritha, the son of Thalaba, Judham, and Lakhm. Initially, these tribes wandered in the region of Hijaz, moving to different locations before finally settling between the lands of Thalabaya and Daikar under the leadership of Haritha ibn Amr. They later attacked the Haram, expelled the Banu Juram, and established their residence in Mecca. This branch came to be known as Banu Azd, Ghassanids. These tribes moved northward and eventually settled in Syria, becoming known as the Ghassanid kings. They were called the Ghassanids because they settled near a spring called Ghassan before moving to Syria. Lakhmids. This group, under the leadership of Nasr ibn Rabi'a, settled in Iraq, and their descendants became known as the Lakhmids of Hira, who were famous for their influence and power. Amalah, another notable tribe that headed north, eventually settling near the mountains of Abar and Salmi. These tribes were closely associated with the region of the Arabian Peninsula and were key in expanding Arab influence northwards. These migrations reflect the complex and dynamic history of the Qahtani Arabs as they sought new opportunities and established their influence across the Arabian Peninsula and beyond.